Welcome back to another episode of Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and this is episode 130. Today in the show, I was joined by Nathan Ellis of the Casket Lottery, also Coalesce, but today we are focusing on the Casket Lottery. This was such a full circle moment for me because of the fact that I even dated myself that I had a song of theirs on my MySpace top 8. The Casket Lottery is truly such a one-of-a-kind band, a special band to music, and I'm honored that I got to have this conversation. Obviously, we're talking music and mental health here, how music is a catharsis to Nathan and his life and how it's a special force in his life. But we focus on all we need to know about this new record, Feel the Teeth, dropping on the 29th of this month. This record is truly some of their best work. I truly feel the Casket Lottery is one of those bands that no matter the times past, when they drop something new, it is just better than the last, and they are so consistent and it is relatable and something we can all feel. Music that we can feel. I can really say that about the Casket Lottery. It was so great to get to talk about the new songs on this record and the process. And I know I did a no-no. I basically said when I was listening to these songs what I felt. And I know usually that's a no-no to talk about. And I know usually that's a hands-off situation, talking to somebody what you feel about the song they wrote. But it was just a cool opportunity for me to dive into the emotions and the feelings I was. So give me a break. Just give me a break. This was a great time. This was such a great conversation. I want to get right into it. Here's my conversation with Nathan Ellis of the Casket Lottery. Hello, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good, good. I'm so excited about this one. I've been looking forward to it. I love the Casket Lottery, and this is just such a treat for me. So I appreciate you taking the time for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So the first thing I always love to ask everybody that comes in here is bring it back to a younger version of you and yourself, of your first connection with music and falling in love with it. I know doing a little bit of research, 14, you started playing guitar, The Cure is
Yeah,
special to you. Do you think those moments scratch the surface for you of falling in love with music?
for sure. I have an older sister who, yeah, showed me all of the important stuff, all the stuff that I still love today. The Cure, the Smiths, all of that early new wave stuff I got from her. But even before that, I always loved music that was around my house. My parents were really big into like old classic country like Merle Haggard and George Jones and Willie Nelson, and I still love that stuff too. And
Yeah.
yeah, I remember probably at like 5 or 6 just camping with my parents and going, floating down the river listening to classic country, and like I those are core memories for me too. But yeah, my older sister showed me all the cool stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that I still love. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I feel like all of us, whether it's a sibling or a mom or a dad, we all have that. Like me, it was my parents and finding, I remember Nirvana and the Smashing Pumpkins and their collection. And that led me on my path today. Without that, I'm like, I don't know what I would be listening to. Who knows? Maybe I would have found
Right.
that. But having them there, it was so special to have that moment. So I love hearing that too, because I think a lot of people, whether it's in the car with parents or it's an older sibling. So I loved kind of learning that a little bit about you because I think it just kind of shows that no matter who you are, musician, just music lover, we all have that connection.
Sure, and I think too that like some of those early childhood memories of my parents' music and the things that they were listening to, they were like all um, the background to really fun things that were happening. I remember the music that was playing because we were all having a good time and doing fun stuff. So that's in there too.
Yeah, it's like the soundtrack to our lives. That's what I always like to say. I'm like, who knows what my soundtrack would look like today? Like as I'm looking down the door, like 40 years old right now. But it's like it's interesting, and I think even to piggyback off that question a little bit. And I've never asked anyone this, but was there ever a time you fell out of love of music and you had to reignite that during your journey with being in the Casket Lottery?
No, never. I mean, there was a time when I stopped playing music for a while. Casket Lottery had hit it really hard. We toured a lot, like all the way until 2003, 2004. And I had babies at home, and it got really hard. There was a moment where I came home from a tour and I had um, my first child, who was probably, I think, 16 months old at the time. And I was gone on like a 2 week tour, and I came home and I remember the way that she looked at me when I first saw her again. And it was just kind of this like, where have you been? It was this
Yeah.
weird moment I had. And it changed everything for me for a while, where I was like, I don't like this. I don't like
Hmm.
being away like this. So I kind of parked it for a while because I thought that that maybe that chapter had ended, and I wanted to just be around home more, which I did. But I got to a certain point, a couple years of not playing music later, that I realized that it was just I couldn't not. It was too important for me to have it in my life and to write songs and play loud music with other people, and like have those creative moments with friends. And it was way too important for me to give up, even though I tried for a while. Since then, I kind of like, I surrendered to it,
Hmm.
the importance of it in my life. So while I've never been a big road dog since
Hmm.
then, not, we tour, we play a lot of out of town shows. My kids are much older now, so
Right.
it's not really, that's not really an issue. But I've never, since then, I don't think I've gone on tour more than like 2.5 weeks at a time, just because I don't like it. I don't like to miss that much of my family's life.
I think a lot of us sometime as I got older, I realized kind of the sacrifices that the musicians make to when we go see them play and we go get our ticket because we're excited. And that's a great feeling. It's a great feeling for me just seeing live music, but we don't realize that sacrifice of the musicians leaving home life and what tour is like. I can only imagine. I've never done it, but friends that have done it, and it's whether it's some people have talked about missing birthdays, missing
Yeah.
events, and then that toll that it takes on your mental health as a musician and the sacrifice you make for your art.
Yeah, and I think if you ask any musician this, anybody who's touring, 95% of them would say the same thing, that they would rather be home 23 hours out of the day. You get that 1 hour on stage, and that's it. And
Hmm.
most shows, if you have load in at 3 p.m. and then you've got sound check at 4 or 5. Then you walk around looking for some food, and then you hang out in the green room, or hopefully you've got friends in town, and then you play at 9 or 10, and then it's like 1 hour that you get to do that, and then it's like, okay, back to a hotel or back to a place that you're staying, and it's like this cycle that's like, it's pretty relentless, and a
Hmm.
lot of it is not fun, especially if the weather sucks, or it's
Yeah.
raining, or it's freezing, or it's hot, and you're stuck in a back room somewhere. A lot of it is terrible.
Hmm.
So hopefully you have good people to do it with. And then also hopefully you have a good show, because if you don't have a good show that night, then what the fuck was it all
Oh,
for? You know?
oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, I can only, yeah, just hearing the side of that from some people. And I was just like, I had no idea. And I would always be that fan, like, they're not coming or they have to cancel a show and this, and then kind of being like, wow, I need to check myself and realize the bigger picture of what goes on here. And I think it's important to always note that. And I always let people know, like, the sacrifices that are made. And I love that you
Yeah.
touched on that because it's so, again, I bet anyone I've had on here that hears that or anyone that will listen to this will say the same thing. I've felt that, I've been there, or I know someone that's been there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people just assume, when people that they know who are in bands that go on tour, think that they go to all these cities and get to see and do cool stuff. It's like, man, we don't. It's
Mhm.
like half
Right?
the time, like, you're like in this like 2 block radius from the venue, um and half of that time you shouldn't walk around that neighborhood or something like
Hmm.
that.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of times, I've been to 49 states, but I would say, like, I don't know anything about most of them, like,
Right.
yeah,
Can only imagine. Yeah, because that's what everyone says. You load in, you do all that, and then you say you play a show, then it's usually, okay, maybe we have to get to the next show. And there's so many
yeah,
people that have said that. I haven't gotten to experience that. They've been to Chicago, but they haven't experienced the city. They were at that venue. Wow. Yeah,
yeah, that's a thing. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. And I mean, part of this kind of goes into like what our podcast is, the intersection of music and mental health and how music is a catharsis. So for you, how has music been that catharsis for you?
Well, I think that, like I told you, I took that break from it thinking that I could step away and find something else to fill that part of me that needed um, what I was getting out of creating music, which is what some sort of creative aspect, some sort of hobby, some sort of time to connect with my friends, because this does all of those things.
Yeah.
But there's just nothing like it, and also it's something that I can do on a whim. You know, if I'm home, I can pick up my guitar at any time, or I can, you know, plug in a synthesizer, which I'm not even that good at, and just like make sounds and be like, oh, I love it. You know,
Yeah, right.
it's the creative piece that does it for me, and um, yeah, and there's nothing like it, and that's why you know, if I had my choice, I would just if you can't tell, I'm in the beautiful B24 studios here in Kansas City right now. I've been in the studio all week, and it's like it's my favorite place. Like just to
Mhm.
be in the studio and creating and watching the songs that you've written come to life, and like the ideas that you have in the back of your head. Getting to mess around with that. That like creative spark is everything for me. So I feel like I've lost track of your question here, but that is it.
Yeah, and I think that's such a beauty in, like, how you explained it, like, for anyone as well, it doesn't even if you're not in a band or a touring musician or you're creating a record, you can connect with music and have that cathartic experience by even if you're not good at it. Like, I'm trying to learn the guitar right now. I always wanted to learn. I'm horrible at it. I'm awful at it. I need to go get lessons. But there's such a beauty of sitting down with an instrument and taking the time to have that moment with music. And it doesn't need to be, again, you're a touring musician or you're putting out a record to have that moment with music.
Yeah, and I would say that like it's probably more common when you're learning. The moment that you get to string two
Mhm.
chords together or come up with a melody line and you're like, "Oh, that's really cool." Like
Yeah.
even if it's like a familiar basic melody line, to actually do it and feel it and be like, "That's really pretty. That's really
Mhm.
powerful." Yeah, there's nothing like it. I mean, music is magic.
Oh, yeah, I love it. We're on the same wavelength with that. And obviously, too, we have this new record on the way. It's coming the 29th. I feel like it's going to be here before we know it. Feel the Teeth will be out for everybody. I've heard it. I think it's fantastic. I
Thank you.
think it's some of your best work yet. And not just saying that because you're here. I truly love it. And I think there's such a beauty too of because your last record came out almost like 2020. So 2020 till now, there's 5 years. I think there's such a beauty of whether it's taking a break or it just taking a while and then putting something new out when time has passed. Do you almost feel there's something really special about this record that's about to drop at the end of the month because there was some time taken?
It's definitely I've spent more time on this batch of songs than any other ever.
Hmm.
And part of that is due to, you know, COVID and lockdown and
Right.
um, how all of that played out. You know, when we finished the last record, we were in the studio. We were in this studio a week before lockdowns started. You know, and we had plans. We were going to tour a lot. We were going to support that record a lot, and then it was like, do we even put this record out now? Do
Yeah.
we wait? You know, and then it seemed like the community needed to have new stuff happening all the time. So we were like, okay, yeah, we will just put this out. We're going to put this out and we're going to see what happens. But we kind of threw all the other plans we had out the window because
Hmm.
everybody did.
Right.
And then it was okay to tour again, and every band on earth was touring, and it was like
Hmm.
impossible. So um, it almost like just provided this time to realize, you know what, I'm just going to sit here. I'm just
Hmm.
going to work on the next thing. And then it was like, you know, all of these ideas and all of these song starts just piling up. And yeah, I've never spent more time writing and rewriting and crafting and recording, you know, demoing and then like scrapping everything and coming up with a completely different way to play the same song. I had never done that before, and that's what I'm going to think about every time this record comes up in the future. Just the amount of time I spent reworking and writing this batch, and yeah, I'm really proud of it. It is, it feels very different for me this time.
Sounds, it's so special. And I think it's one of those things of instantly when I heard it, I was like, okay, obviously I know I'm a fan of the Casket Lottery. This is a Casket Lottery record, but there was just something new to it and something for me. I'm like, I need this music. I feel like we're in the space of a lot of oversaturation of certain types of music. And I'm like, this is the music for me. And I hope that the younger generation hears and they get into because of that. And it's just such an important record for me at least to hopefully promote on here and just shout from the rooftops because it does sound like such a special record.
I'm so glad that you connected with it like that because that's the whole point.
Yeah,
Not just
it's
for me,
right.
just for anybody who happens to come across it, which is harder than ever these days. There's so much, like you said, the saturation of music. Like there's new um, songs dropping every day,
Mhm.
and it's easy for this stuff to get lost. So like that's what I hope. I just hope that people who would care about it get to find it.
And we're in such a singles era too, where everything
Yeah.
talk about music, it's singles. And I'm like, this is a record. Like this is a record you have to sit with. And again, listen to it with headphones. I listen to it different ways in my car, headphones, just out in the open. What do I hear? And there's so many different layers that I would hear in my headphones, especially like on Snake Dream, where I was like, this is what we need. And I'm that person that would look at the liner notes and look at every little thing. So for me, this was just like such a journey of a record for me from start to finish. And it was one where I want to go back, but no, I want to start at the beginning and take that journey.
That's awesome. You're obviously the target audience. Like,
Yes.
everybody who puts out a record wants somebody to listen to it with headphones. So that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even, and I hope I don't butcher the name of the song title. I put it in Google to get the pronunciation, but echolalia. Is that how you
Mhm.
say it? All right.
That's correct.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, let me not mess this up. I'm sitting here with
Yeah.
you. I think like listening to that one grabbed me right away. And I'd heard you were like speaking about it in something, it was something press I read where about the passing of time. And obviously the lyrics of that, I mean, everyone can interpret that. I don't want to say this is what this is about with someone who wrote that. But for me, it was one of those things of the passing of time is a real thing. There's a big thing
Yeah.
on this record with that and where we were, where we are, where we think we'll be. And anyone who is a fan of the Casket Lottery talking about time and the passing of time and dealing with that is a theme throughout the catalog of the Casket Lottery. For you, how do you kind of make sure in your own life that you make the most of your time?
Well, I feel like that's a struggle. That's a theme that I come back to over and over again. I mean, not only on this record, but in songs I've written over and over again. Which is
Mhm.
why that song is titled that, because it's a
Mhm.
theme that I keep repeating. It's definitely something that I have said at least 5 to 10 times in other songs.
Mhm.
And I think the only thing that I can do with that is make sure that I am present in the moments that are important to me, make sure that I am patient in order to appreciate more the things that I'm looking forward to. But also, the flip side of that is the frustration I have around having to do things that I don't want to do.
Mhm.
And that's just being human. And I don't
Right.
mean like, of course, it's like going to the day job or doing some sort of like mowing the yard where it's like, man, that's an hour and a half that I won't get back. I'd
Right.
much rather would have spent it somewhere else. But it's really about that, just like trying to hold on to time and trying to squeeze as much out of it as I can, and you're right, like it goes faster all the time. And I'm 46, 47 now, something like that. And it's just flying by.
I'm like, I even think like, gosh, like I said, I'm about to turn 40 and I'm just like, where did it where did the time go? To me, I'm still that teenager discovering and finding music. And yet I'm like, and it's again with the passing of the time, where, children grow, people sadly pass away. I mean, not to get morbid on here, but it's like one of those
Yeah.
things of the passing of time we deal with and just, and also just whether it is mental health or just being there's such a thing about that passing of time and it goes too fast and before we know it like I said, like it's going to be Christmas and we're going to be sitting here in the passing of time. And I think it's hard sometimes to savor and like think where you're at is where you're supposed to be in time. But it's one of those things of sometimes I am like, I wish I could go back. I wish I could
Yeah.
do that. Let me go back. But or what's it like going to be in the future? Let me do that and kind of sitting with that. And that was just one of those songs that I instantly was like, all right, I need to go back to this one. I need to listen to it again. And just so many moments within in that song for sure for me.
Well, that's awesome. And it's funny that you talked about it in that way because it's also um, counterproductive to wish that you were anywhere else. That's kind of like the
Yes.
other point of it. It's like being present and making sure that you're enjoying and soaking up as much out of every moment as possible, instead of wishing you could fast forward or reverse time. It's like it's really is about just being and staying present. And man, that's a giant struggle for me personally. Yeah.
It's one of those things, yeah, I struggle with as well. And I think anyone listening or anyone, it's a real thing. And I think that's why with this record, there were so many moments in different songs where I was like, I feel that, I felt that, I'm there. And I think anyone that is not a fan of the Casket Lottery, I think would enjoy it. And anyone that is going to be, I say it again, blown away by it because I immediately was like, let me sit down with this. And it's going to be one of those favorites for me for sure by the end of the year.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind.
I mean, I'm such a person too with placements of records, of songs. I'm one of those people that loves it where you open with Night Song, but you end with Snake Dream. Again, Snake Dream was one of those ones. I had this vision when I was like listening to it of I'm trapped in a maze and I'm trying to get out of this maze. And it's just even this parts of the song where it sounds like you're walking through a maze. And I envisioned that. And almost again, I know snake and shedding. People will probably kill me on that analogy because yes, it's a snake, but I feel like you're coming out of that maze. And I felt like anew, but it was what a song to end the record. Was there perfect, like, was that the placement? Like you wanted to end the record with Snake Dream?
Uh, that just seemed like the natural record ender for sure. And
Yeah.
I feel like most of the time when you're working on a batch, a group of songs, and you're having the conversations with other band members or the producer or whatever, like everybody knows when they're working on the record. It's like I feel like this is the opener, this is the ender. Everything between can get, you know, is a coin toss. But um yeah, that one was an obvious album ender, pretty much as soon as we put it together. And yeah, I think that it's interesting that you think of it as a maze, that's what you got out of it. It's definitely part of that song is about a panic attack that I had. And when you have a panic attack, I don't know if you have a history of panic attacks,
Yes.
but
Yes.
when you do that, it takes a long time for me and my history of panic attacks to not think that I'm going to go right back there because
Right.
it's such a terrifying place to go. And for me, it's about feeling trapped in my head.
Mm-hmm.
That is like, that's the trigger for me. So that's what that song was about. And I really kind of dig into that lyrically towards the end of that song about being trapped in my spinning skull or whatever. And that's
Yeah.
that's that. And it's about like fighting your way out. And that theme is definitely like threaded throughout the whole record.
Mm-hmm.
Diamonds is another one that is like definitely came from that. moment, that experience.
Yeah, and you could pick up on that. Like I said, as a listener, and maybe it is because I do have a history with panic attacks, and I'm one of those people that suffers from anxiety. So I get those, and even in moments I wouldn't think, and you can feel it coming on, and it's an intense thing. And I think, wow, what a way like for you saying that, and me thinking it was a maze, and just it makes me almost want to go back after this and listen to it again and pick up on anything because it's definitely was, like I said, a journey in that song. And I love songs like that. And I love how the record ends because I think it made it like it's complete. Okay, this
Yeah,
is it. And again, I'm such that record listener where I want to listen start to finish. I don't want to live in a singles world anymore. I get it. I
yeah.
know it's just important. And I think every song has its placement here. And that was just one that really struck out to me. For you, is there any song that you are just, you're probably proud of all of them, but is there ever one that you're like, all right, that's the one. That's the one where I think as a band, we've grown a lot.
Yeah, I think that I have favorites on every record, but one that I thought was really important on this one, I had just mentioned was Diamonds.
Hmm.
And you did mention, singles, and obviously Diamonds has not a single. It hasn't been released yet. It's coming out when the record drops.
Hmm.
But I'm not good at picking singles. I don't know. I just do what people tell me. They think,
Yeah.
"Oh, this should be it." I'm like, "Cool."
Yeah. There you go.
I believe you.
Sure.
But Diamonds is one that is one of those that really wrote itself. It happened really quickly. It's also the only song that I've ever written in that specific guitar tuning, which also means it's a giant pain in the ass. And we
Sure.
haven't played it live yet because of the logistics of all of that. And that's another reason that it did not get released as a single because we have all of these shows coming up and we're
Hmm.
flying to most of these shows,
Yeah.
which means I can't have extra guitars in order to play that song. So I feel kind of cursed to have that one in the bag, but I was really proud of that one when we wrote it and put it together. And I think that when we demoed it the first time, there was all sorts of little moments of magic, just from the weird guitar noises and backup harmonies and stuff that I actually took off of my demos and had them add onto the record because I was like, I'm not going to be able to recreate this.
Right.
This has to go on the record. So that one has a special spot for me for sure. I mean, I love all of them, of course,
Right.
um, but I really like that one. I also really, really like Night Song. I'm like
Hmm.
you did your homework. I'm a huge fan of The Cure, and it's
Hmm.
about as obvious an homage as I can do. I do have to yell a lot, so I had
Yeah.
to mix that chorus up a little bit, but I'm really proud of that one too.
Yeah, immediately. I mean, maybe that's why, because I myself too am a huge fan of The Cure. Maybe that's why I also gravitated towards Night Song too as well. Because I mean, again, I got a chance to see them play at like Riot Fest in Chicago, and for me, it was like not only for me, but that was for my mom that couldn't go, and she got me into The Cure and things like that. So it was like blew my mind. Like again, that's one of those things, and I think it's really cool to get to hear things like that from bands that meant a lot to you and still do, but there's little notes and little nods of like you could hear that in there. And that's why we always love to start the show with that question of that and first memories and looking into that of where can we find pieces of that in a record. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There's something about that band, and the way that Robert writes songs that, even if I wanted to rip them off, it would
Mhm.
never work because, and I've tried, when you play those songs, when I've covered those songs in the past, I don't have that same spark that he does. I do different things, and for me to play those songs, anytime I do, I'm like, this just feels so, and this is going to sound like a backhanded compliment, but it's boring when I do it. I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't understand how he can infuse so much beauty and melodrama and excitement out of what he's doing with this. Because when I do it, I'm like, this is it. This is all there is to it, and
Yeah.
it doesn't work. So I can only do little moments of referencing cureness in what I do, but whatever he does is magic, and it's my favorite.
Yeah, that's another thing I could go on about him. And even like talking about playing live as well. You obviously have the CD release for this. You're playing with the Appleseed cast and
Yeah.
Flooding. What is that like now? Okay, you have these songs, they're special, they mean something. We're gonna release the record. What is that dynamic of performing them live, and having that relationship?
It is a thing, especially for this record. I feel like it's been complete for, I don't know, like over a year now, and we've only played a handful of them at like 3 shows. So for us to like break them all out and like really get into them, it's exciting from a band perspective. We're excited to do something new. A lot of the songs that we play, some of them are 20 years old,
Hmm.
and I still love them and they're important to me, and I still have like moments with them on stage. But to do something new, it always feels a little dangerous too, because
Hmm.
it's not second nature yet. It's not muscle memory yet. And lyrically, it's something that is so fresh too, because it's current, with how I feel and the things that I wanted to say. So it's not, sometimes when you're playing an old song, it's just like, it's almost like you're going back in time to act like you were when you were 22 when you wrote the song or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't feel it the same way. I feel all of these things still currently, so it does tap into a different thing. Um, and I feel a little bit more sincere when I'm saying some of these things, especially something like Snake Dreams or Night Song, where it's like those are themes that I'm like living through right now, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, I think it's a real themes too. Like I can listen to it and I got something different and the next person
Yeah.
and what do you do? And I think it's really there's a theme in this record. A lot of people almost like I got a feeling too of like lack of control a little bit on it and listening to it. And again, that kind of goes to the panic attack if we want to talk about
Mhm.
that, the lack of control over
Yeah.
something like that. And I think we've all felt that in some way. And I just keep thinking about that kid that's going to pick up the record and has never maybe heard of you guys or maybe sees you play live and is like, whoa. And then that person that has always loved you is going to be like, I see myself in this. And I think that's what's powerful about music. And I think that's why, again, someone like myself was so drawn to it.
Yeah. And I think it's important that everybody gets their own thing out of it too,
Hmm.
and I love that. And I love when somebody comes up to tell me what my song is about,
Yeah.
because it's always like, that's amazing that
Yeah.
that's the interpretation. Yeah. So not only do I feel like it's a lack of control from my perspective, a lot of this record to me is about realizing that nobody's in control and
Hmm.
nobody really knows what's going on and nobody knows how to fix anything. This is definitely a record with no answers.
Hmm.
There's no promise and there's no anthems here. It's just we're all wandering.
And I feel that way. Like we're in 2025 and we're all still, I felt that way in 2020 and now I'm here in 2020. Still, I don't know if maybe we'll always feel that way. I don't know. But it's definitely just something to sit with. And when you finish the record, everybody play it through if you're listening to this. And then it's again, like it causes, at least to me, to reflect and how did this hit me? And maybe it's just because how I view music, but it's definitely something that it does cause you to look back and it caused me in my life to sit with and think, where am I in this as I near 40 years old?
Right. Yeah. It's, these are weird times, and I can't help but lean into it. I think I did an interview a few nights ago when I was talking about how I had a moment in time, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago when I was writing songs, but happily married with great
Mm.
kids and a good job, and it's like, what am I writing about? Like, I don't have,
Right.
I'm a yeller,
Hmm.
I can't do any of these ballads or anything. So I just kind of was was confused for a while, and then it's like I brought it upon myself to be in this world all of a sudden that is just so crazy, and um, now I'm never at a loss for things to yell about.
Yeah. Also, like I talking about the CD release, you're also gonna hop the Casket Lottery is also gonna hop on with the Sound of Animals Fighting in the fall.
Yeah.
Um, what are you looking forward to with that and getting to join on that tour?
Well, when we got invited to do that run, I'm not super familiar with that band, so I
Hmm.
checked it out and I was like, "Oh, this is great. I feel like this is a good fit for us." And just talking to a few of those people on that crew, it's already been really cool and inviting. But it was perfect timing for us with this record coming out.
Yeah,
And I was like, "Oh, this is like meant to be for us to get to go do these shows." And we're hitting pretty much a lot of the large cities in this country. We're missing a few spots, so I don't want to say we're hitting everywhere, but
right.
yeah, we feel really lucky that we got invited, and that it's just perfect timing for us to get to go out and play these songs.
Yeah, it made me like hearing this record makes me again want to see it live. I know I'm in New Jersey, so I know I think New York City is the closest one.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh man, I got to find my some way out there because I think hearing these live, I think it would just hit even more so because like I said in the headphones it hits a certain way, but I can only imagine being in the room with the lights on and hearing something like if you play Snake Dream again, who knows what you're going to play and what
yeah,
you're going to pull out, but it's one of those things of hearing that and those little moments. It's going to be really special.
yeah. Well, you should definitely try and come. That'd be awesome. And yeah, I mean, live is a whole different thing, of course.
Yeah.
And I feel like most bands look when you're making a record, it's at the song's start time. You know what I mean? Like the
Hmm.
song has just been written, it's just been created, and you're committing it to tape. It's really what happens after you get to play it live 10 or 15 times when you realize what the song is capable of. So I'm excited about getting to experience that process. But you're right, like it does become its own more powerful thing after you get to roll it out a few times. So I'm excited to do it too. See what happens.
Yeah, I love to hear that the musician themselves is excited as they should be, but it's like me hearing it, I love to always hear that because again, I'm not a musician. I don't know what that's like to play live. But I know what it's like to go see it. So I think man, that just got me like so excited. Now I need to figure out like listen, I got to get to this, but I truly this is such a great record. I'm so looking forward to Feel the Teeth. I think it's as we've been saying, it's just an important record to me where I'm at in my life right now in this year. And I cannot thank you enough for taking the time today and sitting with me and talking about this record.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is again like such a treat for me. I've been sitting on this record and all my friends. I did have to make a couple like a text to people of like you know who I'm sitting down with today. And again, they have no idea that I have the record, that I've heard it, but even them were like, no way. Like we loved like in high school we listened to that. Like On the
Yeah.
Air was like our MySpace song. That's what we
Yeah.
loved. And I'm like that. I mean, again, I know it's an old song, like, from Smoke and Mirrors, but it's like one of those things of just a really cool moment. So I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
And all right, guys, that was my conversation with Nathan. Again, I cannot thank him enough for the time he took to have this conversation. He was in the studio as we were doing this. So I know he's a busy guy, and I'm forever thankful that this happened and I could have this full circle moment. Again, Feel the Teeth is so fantastic. I truly, upon listening to it, the first listen, the second listen, and the handful of others I listened to this record before we sat down, I truly cannot recommend it enough. All links below to check not only the singles that are out for this record, but ways you can pre-save this so you're ready for the 29th. We also have that CD release show. I have links below as well as their tour with the Sound of Animals Fighting coming in September. I'm hopefully going to go to that one. Do not miss that tour. As for our show, we will be back next week with a brand new episode, of course, new episodes every Tuesday. If you like this conversation, make sure to like and subscribe, a positive rating and review. It goes such a long way for an independent podcast like ours. It truly means a lot to us. This podcast is part of the Never a Phase network. It is a network of creators that truly live the scene, love the scene, just like you guys, whether it's podcasts, it's cool content, it's articles, it's a zine, newsletter. There are so many cool things we are doing to keep the scene alive in our own way. All links below for that. And I will see you guys next time. All right. Bye, guys.
Like,